Agatha, the stepmom. And today, you will see a few things happening. I'll explain that in a minute. I do want you to know that 4th grade, we learn about the law, U.S. law, state law, and the courthouse, how it operates. And so the kids have had like a little law school up until this point. You are going to see the prosecution. Gretel, can you stand up? Gretel and her brother Hansel, who are being played by Avery Freeman and Trey Goki, they have put on trial their stepmom, so they're the prosecution. They're the ones that are bringing this to the court. They're putting on trial the stepmom Agatha, which is played by Dawn McCrell. And turn around so the audience can see you. She's the bad stepmom. And so her defense attorney is Amelia Graham. Stand up. And we also have some witnesses from the defense. So her attorney is going to defend her against the claim that she is not a very good stepmom. We have the witch, who actually is being played by Sarah Bowers. We have the stepmother's brother that is being played by Dustin Lee. He is defending his dear sister. And then we had a witness that is the cat that happens to slink around all of this and hear a lot of things. And so he's going to also present his statement. So if y'all sit down. On the prosecution side, they always sit closest to the jury because they're trying to make the jury understand that Gretel and Hansel are, you know, what the case is and that they've got a good case. Our prosecution attorney is played by Corey Fry, so Corey will stand up. And we have the father that is married to Donna, the stepmother. And he is witness for Gretel and Hansel. And then we have Lex Pena, and he is playing the woodcutter, who is a friend of the father and can tell what, you know, how his father's character is, so that the jury understands that. Then we have one other character witness, who is the bird that happened to see some of the going-ons as well. And that is being played by Mick Sawyer today. So we have a great cast of characters and a lot of hard work. They have their scripts because you will hear an opening statement from the prosecution, so they're going to set up what's going on. And then you'll hear an opening statement from the defense and how they feel about it. And then we'll go to the witnesses, and they're going to come over here. And the attorneys may or may not come over here a couple times, but I've tried to remind them to turn so that you can see what's happening. And so I may get in the way. And, oh, I forgot two very, very important people, because my back was to them. Bodie Miller is playing our sheriff or our deputy bailiff that will swear everybody in today, so thanks, Bodie. And our judge today is Indigo Rector, and she is going to listen to the statements as well and keep the court in line as well as Bodie. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope the mics are all working so everybody can hear. And I think they are. Are they on? Okay, good. All right, so thank you again, and hang in there. There will be a point, one last thing, there will be a point where the trial is done, and then the jury will then be dismissed into the deliberating room, or the rooms where they deliberate, and that means they're gonna go in there and they're gonna discuss what they think what should happen to the stepmother, Gaia. So, they're gonna come up with a decision. There'll be about 5 or 6 minutes max that they have a turn to do that, and then they'll be brought in, and then they'll give their verdict. All right, so I hope I kind of gave a good overview of what's gonna happen, and if you guys are ready, we will begin.
All rise. The court of Kirk County is now open and in session. The Honorable Judge Rector presiding.
Stand up, Judge. Stand up.
Please be seated. All persons having business before the court may approach the bench.
The case of the State of Texas versus stepmother Agatha. Is the prosecution ready?
The prosecution is ready.
Is the defendant ready?
The defendant is ready.
The bailiff will swear in the jury.
The jury will stand. Raise your right hands to be sworn in. Do you swear that you will examine the evidence now to be given to you, that you will not discuss anything about this case with anyone and only among yourselves after you have heard all the evidence? And when you have agreed upon a verdict, you will keep it secret until you announce it in court. If you agree, say I do.
I do.
You may be seated.
Does the prosecution have an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the state will show that on the very early and cold morning, February 19th, 1327, that the defendant, stepmom Agatha, led the children, Hansel and Gretel, for a first time deep into a forest with nothing but the clothes on their back and a slice of bread. The poor, young, and innocent children were deceived and abandoned. The premise of the journey was to chop wood and pick berries. After starting a small fire to keep the children warm, the stepmom abandoned them with no intention of returning. When this attempt was unsuccessful the first time and the children found their way back, the stepmom repeated this insane crime again. These poor defenseless children had to fend for themselves, trying to make their way to safety in a dangerous forest. We know that after you have listened to all the witnesses, you will be convinced that the defendant, Agatha, is guilty of committing child abandonment of her stepchildren, Hansel and Gretel. Thank you.
The defense attorney, do you have an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that you should find stepmother Agatha not guilty. The children's charge against the stepmother is ridiculous. We will show that the children are too young, immature, and inconsistent to make these serious accusations. We will bring the brother of the stepmom to the stand to testify about the fine character of Agatha and how when times have been difficult, she has done all she can to provide food, a clean house, and protection for them. No one saw her leave the children intentionally. The evidence is all circumstantial, which means the evidence may look like she's involved, but is indirect and cannot be proven. Listen to the witnesses carefully. If you do, we are sure that you will see that no one can prove that Agatha is guilty of this crime, and therefore you will surely find her not guilty. Thank you.
Prosecution, you may call your first witness.
Your Honor, I would like to call Hansel to the stand.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, in this case under penalty or perjury? Yes, I do. You may be seated.
What is your full name and address?
Hansel L. Hall. I live at number 1 Cottage Lanes.
Hansel, could you please tell the court what happened to you on the day of February 19th?
It was early in the morning when I heard my stepmother yelling at my father about how they were going to leave us alone in the woods with only one slice of bread. So surely we would be weak with hunger. The next morning, our stepmother took both Gretel and me by the hand. I was glad that the night before, I grabbed some stones and put what I could in my pockets. This way, on the way out, I could leave a trail so we could find our way back to the house. They lit a fire to keep us warm, and my mother said she was going to cut some wood. Both Gretel and I fell asleep, and when we awoke, it was late in the afternoon. We found no one near us and called and no one came, so we felt scared and alone. We decided to see if we could find the pebbles I had left on the trail. That was the first time. The second time was even scarier for us. We both overheard the shouting and yelling between my father and stepmom. She was telling him that there was not enough food for all of us and the children had to go. My father begged and pleaded with her not to do this. She was forceful and threatened him as well. I did not have time to look for pebbles. This time, she gave us a slice of bread and then grabbed our hands, telling us we were headed into the forest to cut wood. She called us names, set us up with a fire, and promised they would return when done cutting wood. I only used my slice of bread to fall apart as we walked so I could leave a trail. That is all I had. I knew the bread might be eaten by the birds. The noise of the axe hitting the trees put us to sleep. Once again, we awoke to find no one in sight. So we decided to find my bread pieces so we could go home. No such luck. We became lost, tired, and hungry until we found a candy house.
Hansel, I know this is difficult for you, but was your stepmother always mean to you?
Objection. You are leading your witness.
Sustained. Prosecution attorney, would you find another way of wording your question?
Yes, Your Honor. Hansel, how did your stepmother treat you?
She never showed any love to us. We always felt like we were in her way. She did make our dinner and clean our house, but she never really treated us like we were her children.
Hansel, would you please think back to the first time your stepmother took you out into the forest and tell us what the weather was like that morning?
It was early in the morning, so I remember wishing we had warmer clothes and better shoes. The sun was not yet up. I was just relieved that she started a fire for us to sit by, because as the day wore on, it was cloudy and cold.
Based on your answer, about how long do you believe you and Gretel were lost in the forest?
When we awoke from our sleep by the fire, we shared our slice of bread and then walked the whole night long. We did not find our house until the break of day.
Why would you want to go back to your house when you knew things were so difficult?
My sister and I loved my father. We had no other place to go. We wanted to be warm and thought that maybe, just maybe, they would be proud of us for finding our way home and we could all be a happy family again.
Did your father and stepmother yell at each other often?
The yelling has become much more frequent lately.
Who starts the yelling?
Objection. That is not appropriate questioning.
Overruled. Prosecution attorney, you may continue your line of questioning.
Hansel, who starts the arguments?
Honestly, my father is always calm, and since my birth mother has passed, my father is sad and has been following her direction. She starts the arguments and makes us all suffer.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm finished questioning my witness.
The witness is excused. Does the defense wish to cross-examine?
Yes, Your Honor. You seem like a nice boy. Do you do what you are told when you are told?
That's right. Sorry about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever talked back to your mother or father?
She is not my mother.
Does she take care of you and give you your meals?
Yes.
Does she keep a clean house?
Yes.
Do you ever imagine what it would be like to have a different life, though without your stepmother? Tell the jury what that life would be like.
Objection! She is leading my witness into an imaginary tale.
Sustained.
Thank you.
No further questions. Hansel, you are excused and may be seated. Does the prosecution attorney have another witness you would like to call to the stand?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to call Gretel.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? In this case, under penalty or perjury. I do. You may be seated.
Please give us your full name and address.
My name is Gretel N. Hall. I live at number 1 Cottage Lane.
Gretel, could you tell the court about the second time you were abandoned in the forest by your stepmother?
Objection, Your Honor. Father was with them.
Sustained.
Gretel, tell us about the time your parents left you in the forest the second time.
As we walked through this cold, scary forest, I noticed my stepmother missing, and then I heard a goosebump making a laugh. Then
and then my stepmother's voice. The next morning, when we woke up and noticed that my parents were gone, we decided to go for a walk and found a candy house. As my mouth watered for food, I heard the voice of the laugh we had heard yesterday, and I really got scared. As I looked up, I saw a very wrinkly and plump lady. She was grabbing my hand. I must have broke off some sweet candy hanging from the windowsill. I asked if I could please eat. She chuckled and said, "Yes, of course, sweet little girl." She seemed all right, but before I knew it, by the end of the day, my tummy was feeling icky. She continued to feed us, even when I told her I had had enough. I was full, and she threatened to shove it down my throat if I didn't finish. I noticed that Hansel was gone. Then she asked me to keep checking on the oven to see if it was ready. I asked what it was for, and she said I would know when it was ready. I was getting worried about Hansel. I checked outside, and he was in a cage. He put his finger to something terrible. He put his finger to his mouth to keep me quiet. I was so scared and horrified. I knew she was going to do something terrible to us, like cook us. I did not know what to do. I do not remember much after that, but I remember being glad to see my father.
What are your chores at your house?
I make our bed, sweep, carry firewood to the stove, help with our kitchen.
How old are you?
8.
Gretel, how do you think you and Hansel ended up at the witch's candy house?
I do not know. Maybe the sweet smell brought us to the house.
Did you realize you were on someone else's land?
My stomach was aching. No.
Did your stepmother ever threaten you before these 2 trips to the forest?
No, but I felt very uncomfortable when she called us names like sluggards and then called me a fool when I was looking at the cat.
Have you ever seen the lady at this candy house before?
Well, after I had heard her talk to us at the candy house, I started wondering when I had heard her voice before. Something sounded familiar. Then I was reminded of the time when we went to town waiting in the red light and my stepmother was talking with other ladies. I remember hearing her voice.
Do you blame your father for the mishaps?
Of course not. Our father is loving and caring. He tried to stop her of taking us out to the forest, but our stepmother kept pushing him into it. He was disagreeing with her.
What do you think would have happened to you once you returned from the forest to your house?
I thought we would still be hungry, but we would be together. I never want to be that scared again.
No further questioning.
The defense attorney wished to cross-examine.
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Gretel, did you in fact eat any of the witch's house?
Yes, but it was just a very tiny morsel.
Did you help your brother get the witch into the oven?
It was in trying to protect.
This is a yes or no question.
Objection. The defense should not be so harsh on this little girl.
Overruled. Continue to answer, Gretel.
Yes. Have you ever tried to hurt anyone before?
Objection, Your Honor. She is putting the little girl on trial.
Sustained.
No further questioning.
Gretel, you may return to your seat. Prosecution attorney, do you have any other witnesses?
Yes, I would like to call to the witness stand Mr. Hall.
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this case.
please state your full name and address for the court?
Mr. Hall, I live at number 1 Cottage Lane.
Do you love your children?
Yes, oh my yes, it has been very different since their birth mother has passed. And with the lack of food available for the families and this like and trying to keep my small humble business afloat, it is not easy.
Could you please recount what happened on those 2 very sad days?
I was getting ready for the day when Agatha stormed in and asked us what it was to become of us. How are we going to continue to feed our children? She continued by answering her own questions. They were terrible answers. She wanted to get rid of them by getting them deep into the forest and alone to get lost and die. It was her idea to send them with some bread, and her excuse was them to wait a while we cut wood and found some berries, which would be difficult this time of year. She threatened me by knowing how torn I would be between my wife and children and left me no choice and no peace unless I agreed to her plan. So I agreed. In my heart, I knew my children were survivors, and maybe one day they would forgive me, knowing how difficult the times were. I am so very happy that they are alive. I would have died without them. I swear this is the truth.
That is all, Your Honor.
Does the defense attorney wish to cross-examine?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Ha, how long have you and Agatha been married?
It has been 4 years.
And in those 4 years, hasn't Agatha been a caring, loving wife to you and a caring mother to the children?
Well, I can say she has helped me a great deal with the children. I am confused by her recent behavior.
So tell me, Mr. Ha, why did you not take charge when you were uncomfortable with this situation?
Honestly, I didn't know all of her plans.
Are you telling the court you knew of her plan and did not stop her? It seems to me that you are just as guilty.
Objection. The defense attorney is assigning unjust guilt.
Overruled. I want to hear this. Continue, Mr. Ha.
I only knew of her plan to take them into the forest. I knew my children were survivors and would make it back.
Thank you, Your Honor. And through questioning.
Does the prosecution attorney have any further witnesses?
Yes, I would like to call up Mr. Woodcutter.
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I do.
Could you please tell the court what happened the day in question?
I was asked by the father, Mr. Hall, to watch out for his children. I told him that I could not get involved, but I could keep a watchful eye. I was in the forest cutting wood about noon when I saw 2 children approaching a candy house. When a woman opened the door and made a very strange noise, a laugh scream sound, she had caught one of the children pulling candy off the windowsill. She said, "What a pleasant surprise," and whispered to herself something about finding her dinner. Then, after being inside a while, she brought Hansel outside and asked him to grab an item from the cage for her. She slammed the cage shut and Hansel screamed. I became concerned. Then, before you know it, she had Gretel checking the boiling water under her stove to make sure it was hot enough. I could not bear to watch any further. I had gone back to tell the father, but he was nowhere in sight.
Did Mr. Hall, the father, tell you why he wanted you to watch out for his children?
Yes, he had been told by his wife that the only way for them to survive with the lack of food was to take the children into the forest and leave them. He knew that it was a sketchy plan, but he also knew he had survivor children, and they would make it back to the house. He just wanted me to make sure no animals would attack them. I did not know about the witch in the house. Like I told the father, I did not want to get involved. Times are tough, and I was out in the forest anyway.
How long have you known Mr. Hall?
Oh, we go way back since we were kids, I recollect.
What kind of father and man was Mr. Hall?
He was very dependable, responsible worker and father. I do not know of any unkind bone in his body.
Thank you. I have no more questions, Your Honor.
Does the defense attorney wish to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Woodcutter, do you have any children?
No.
Was the father, Mr. Hall, with the stepmother one or both times when walking the children into the forest?
Yes.
Why did you not intervene when you thought you saw the children in trouble?
Objection. She is injecting opinion into the question.
Sustained. Please restate question.
Why did you not help the children?
Like I told you, I did not want to get involved. It was my job to watch and report back.
Thank you. No further questions.
Does the prosecution have any further witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to call the Bird to the stand.
Bird, take the stand. Please raise your right hand. Please swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Mr. Bird, please tell the court your statement.
Sure. I was perched on my lovely branch waiting for spring when I saw a woman and two children walking. I saw one of them dropping breadcrumbs, then I was tempted to fly down and eat them when I was distracted by a woman's voice. She was saying, "Your father and I are going to go cut some wood. Here, sit by the fire and wait for us. We will come get you when we are through." The children were very obedient and listened. Time went by, and the children cuddled together, get warm, and fell asleep. I dropped down to eat a crumb when they awoke. Chirp! They seemed confused and hungry. They called for their parents. By the way, parents had left the area a long time before they awoke. The boys checked around the area and decided to take the girl and head in a different direction. I started chirping, not that way, but no mind. They walked right down the path to the candy house. They were so happy to find something to eat. The girl got a piece right off the windowsill. There was a gnarly sound. Nibble, nibble, gnaw. Who's nibbling at my little house? The children were scared, but they answered. The wind, the heaven-born wind. The witch said, "Oh, you dear little children, who has brought you here? Do come in and stay with me. No harm will come your way." She took them by the hand. That was the last I saw them.
From your point of view, did you see that the stepmother abandoned the children?
Objection, Your Honor. Abandoned? Really?
Overruled. Continue, Bird.
Sure. Both the parents walked the children, but the stepmother was most insistent about the whole thing. She did not saunter, but had a strong desire to get the children deep enough into the forest. She was the one rushing to lead the scene. Sure.
Thank you. No further questions.
Does the defense attorney have cross-examined questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Did you alert anybody about the situation?
This is my incessant chirping and my flying around the witch's house. I tried to fly into the witch, but she just batted me away.
Did the children take candy off the witch's house?
No.
No further questions.
Does the prosecution have any further witnesses?
No, Your Honor. We rest our case.
Does the defense attorney have any witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to call the stepmother, Agatha.
Stepmother Agatha shall take the stand. You swear, raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, in this case under penalty or perjury. I do. You may be seated.
Agatha, I realize how traumatic all of this must be for you. So will you please share with the court what happened?
Yes. On this doomy day of February 19, 1327, my husband and I have grown. What has become of us? How are we going to take care of a family of four when there is not enough food for just the two of us? These days are harsh. I assured him that he could chop more wood and we could try to collect more berries. The following day, I brought the children to the forest to rest while we worked diligently, cutting wood. Somehow, my husband and I became separated in the forest, and I went looking for him. I searched all around him. I got lost and eventually found my way back to the house. In all the confusion and my exhaustion, I rested, figuring he had grabbed the children and was most likely on his way home. Later, he returned without the children. Neither of us could sleep that night. I was the break of day when the two little darlings wandered back into the house. The second time, it was unfortunate as well. This time, we were distracted by these and ran home realizing the children were left behind. I was not too worried since they had made it home once before. When they did return, they had quite the stories to tell about a rich candy house growing.
So are you telling us that this is mostly a made-up story that children have generated?
Yes, I think the stress of no food and the money changes the children have experienced have led them to believe and imagine this whole thing house. Really, I have always done my best as a mom and a wife. Children do have imaginations, you know.
What about the discussion of what are we going to do for food?
How many other families are struggling? Our house is small. Sometimes a wife needs to just talk to her husband and her worries. And that is just what I did. Talk about it.
Thank you. No further questions.
Does the prosecution attorney want to cross-examine the witness?
Yes. Did you or did you not intend to return to the forest to get Hansel and Gretel?
Why, of course I did. What kind of stepmother do you think I am?
If you are telling the court the truth and you believe the children made this whole thing up, then you are saying that both the children are lying, the father is lying, the woodcutter is lying, and the bird is lying. Miss Agatha, all of these people have been under oath, and you expect the court to just believe you?
Objection!
Overruled.
Please answer.
Yes.
No further questions.
Does the defense attorney have any further witnesses?
Yes, I would like to call the witch. You may be excused. Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? In this case, under penalty of perjury. I do. You may be seated. Miss Witch, please tell us your story.
Well, I was in my house attempting to boil some water. I was trying to get my fire lit under my stove when I heard Agatha come bursting through the door. We had met in the Greta Blind a few weeks back. We hadn't seen each other since grade school many years ago. Did I tell you she has really aged? Anyhow, when we were younger, she always had the leader type. She needed me to help her with a plan B. I was actually looking forward to meeting her children since I never had any of my own. She shared the very difficult story of the tough times, and she remembered that I had a house hidden in the woods. She said that maybe if the children needed something, they could come to me if they were to get lost in the woods. At first I rejected the idea, then I realized it would be a great way to help her out while they were trying to get back on their feet. We decided to just keep this as a backup. I knew the chances of the children getting lost